Well, hello and welcome everybody to another one of our ABHI In Conversation series, where we speak to leaders in the health and care space, opinion formers and other organisations which we may consider to be kindred spirits. I'm delighted today to be joined by Rahul Kapoor from the organisation CPI. CPI, I think, is one of those biggest, incredible organisations you've never heard of. You may have seen them around the place. If you've been to Darlington Station recently, you will have done, because they have a big facility there. So we'll get into what CPI is all about, Rahul, shortly. But question I always ask on this, because people are interested, just tell us a little bit about your background and how it got you into the position you're in with CPI today.
Thank you, Richard, for having me here, and thanks for that great introduction. Look, a little bit about me. I'm personally just really passionate about the healthcare space, and I've spent most of my career in this space, and I love the innovation, the impact on us as individuals and families that I think it can bring. But fundamentally, I think our sector has a really big challenge. And a really easy way to visualize that is that we are a sector with the highest number of patents. So across Europe, I was checking, and we have about 15,000 patents per annum, but very few actually make it to the market and the patients and us as friends or parents or relatives. And that's a challenge that I and we at CPI are trying to address and solve for. So my experience is built upon working at Johnson & Johnson, both medical devices and pharma, and then previously Unilever, worked across medtech startup, and that experience was primarily in commercializing technologies, building new products, and that's really helped me think about this sector in a far more holistic manner across the whole spectrum. My background is I'm a chemical engineer, and completed that from Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, and then completed my MBA, and I'm an alumni of London Business School, obviously in London. And at CPI, we have a really long history of working in health tech, right? But I've joined, and I'm leading the charge on our health tech, and our focus is very much to build very ambitious plans on how we can expand our partnership network, grow the impact that we have, build programs that have sector-wide benefits, working with academia, industry, the government, and improve access to our capabilities that we have across the country.
Right. Well, thanks for that. That's fascinating. It's always interesting to see how successful people have got where they've got. And I always tell people we're an engineering industry, so here you are, you're a real live engineer, which is great. So Real, if you can, just tell us about CPI. Really interesting organisation, interesting background and genesis. Just give us a sense of CPI in the round.
So CPI is a 20-year-old organization that came out of a government strategy that we co-worked on with the UK government to really drive innovation from research to commercialization and solve for that, what some might know as the valley of death, which is post-research and pre-market. So we exist in the health tech, pharma, and materials markets, but I'm going to focus on the health tech for this conversation. And what we essentially do are just two things. We, number one, build transformative ecosystems, and number two, we work on deep technology products and building these products. So firstly, as a true trusted partner of the UK, of the industry, working in the UK, we are often approached to solve some really tough challenges that industry might be facing with. And we partner with academia, with the public life sciences organizations, with the investment community. So together we can pull upon the financial and the technological solutions to solve some of these more complex challenges. And we're uniquely positioned to do this because we are an independent technology and innovation center. We've been building assets which total more than 200 million pounds across the UK. And we were set up to stimulate this growth. So we've done this multiple times now, and we have created programs ranging from 10 to 100 million pounds, which we call grand challenges. And we work with small to really large industrial partners, create these broad ecosystem in various parts of the country. And right now, for instance, in health tech, we are exploring digital health as well as oncology diagnostics as areas that we are considering for what we might want to do next and accelerate these industries. Now, secondly, we also work directly with innovators, from the largest medtech companies to an individual single person with a great innovation. And we focus on how do we enable them to build these deep technology products. Typically, health tech deep technology faces a significantly uphill job of reaching the market, right? So they take longer time to commercialize, typically have a higher investment ask, and may have more regulatory hurdles than, let's say, technologies in other markets. And CPI works with the industry to look at solving some of these using the access that we have of our capabilities, as well as our ecosystem and our partners such as yourselves. So an example on what we do over here is, for instance, where we can use our capabilities in the physical sciences to create essentially electrical, mechanical, engineering-based technology solutions, combine those with the biological, the digital capabilities, and the liquid management capabilities to, for instance, solve and create some very unique diagnostic solutions. So those are the two fundamental ways we engage with the industry and the market.
That's great. I mean, it's really interesting, Rahul. Just tell us a little bit more about some of those capabilities you've got and where they're distributed across the country. Because we came up to see you in Sedgefield, and I was amazed about the actual manufacturing capacity and capability you've got as an organisation, and how you deployed that during the pandemic with the vaccines.
Thank you so much for that, and it was, to be honest, great to host you. We have facilities and some of the best experts and the great minds in the UK, which are distributed across some of our facilities in the Northeast. We have some facilities in Scotland, south of Glasgow, and we are continually exploring and, for instance, building new potential capabilities up in the Northwest. And some of our facilities include some fundamental capabilities, including things like flexible electronics, as well as some complex liquid management at a really micro scale capabilities, managing and building biological materials. And the access to some of these unique science and engineering folks meant that during the pandemic, we were involved to support the government's initiative in building the mRNA vaccines at our facilities. And today we hope we are a host to one of those facilities which can be deployed by the government anytime it's needed. And look, we work across, what we offer is support from an early stage technology development right down to scaling up manufacturing at a scale and helping organizations commercialize them. So we would work with organizations across the world, to be honest, on the diagnostic, medical device, and wearable spaces. But some of the specific spaces that we are exploring far more include things like drug delivery solutions, patient monitoring solutions, as well as things like novel sequencing-based diagnostics. Quite often, companies would approach us and we would work with them to build prototypes of technologies which might be innovative, and we want to look at whether they work in the real world and they can be scaled up. We may often do technology validation, feasibility analysis, and then these prototypes can often be taken up at a next stage for a smaller scale manufacturing, so they can potentially be tested with customers or even scaled up for clinical trials, helping companies go up to that pre-manufacturing stage so they can then completely move into a commercial scale. But beyond technology development, CPI is also host to some market experts, and the the fact that we work across such a wide range of capabilities and markets means that we also offer strategic solutions beyond technology solutions. And recently, we worked with yourselves, for instance, to publish the diagnostics roadmap in the UK. And this maps out what the future of the industry is, identifies some of the products and technology platforms that are important for the UK to develop, but also a key sort of milestone map for the industry to look out for. For the SMEs specifically, we can often offer a little bit more support than what may be required for the larger corporations. Things like regulatory or access to our networks are things that are quite useful for some of these organizations. And we recently ran approximately £10 million voucher program. Again, you were involved in that to reach out to our community in the SMEs to help them with regulatory access and helping them move to the market a little bit faster, which we heard really positive feedback about. So ultimately, all of our efforts are about helping move these technologies to the market faster, effectively.
That's great. Well, thanks, Will. We haven't said so far, we should say. I mean, CPI is a brand, but Centre for Process Innovation, which makes a lot of sense now in some of the work you describe and your capabilities. Listen, you will really pique people's interest in some of your, in how they may be helped to work with you and engage with you. We'll put some stuff out when this goes out. What is the best way of people to get in touch with you? Who are you particularly interested in hearing from, or and how broad a church are you?
Look, I think anyone in the industry who's looking at an innovation challenge is someone we would love to speak to. And ideally, we tend to speak to some of the leaders in the R&D, the product development, but often we also speak to the business leaders when we start thinking about some of those really large challenges in public-private partnerships that we want to put together and how we can help them be more successful in the UK. So I would say that if you're looking for a conversation on, are you looking for a challenge to scale up your product, looking for a conversation on how do you enhance and get better access across the industry to certain capabilities, we would love to speak to you. It's easy to reach out to us either via our website. We'll also publish information to talk to us directly via this video. And obviously, Richard, team members can always approach you. And I'm hoping you'd be happy to put them in touch with us as well.
Yeah, Rahul, that's great. We will do. We'll make sure people can reach you easily with the links in this. Rahul, that's been fantastic. Thank you. You mentioned we've done some work together with the on the diagnostic roadmap and the insights report, which actually is already informing, I think, government policy. We've got a bunch of things in the pipe, haven't we? Stand by, everybody, for a CPI ABHI survey to keep that pulse of the local health tech, and a lot more events besides. Will, thanks so much for your time today. It's been great to speak to you, and we'll do this again, because I'm sure we might want to get into some of the detail and some of those capabilities in the months ahead. But in the meantime, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you for having me.